Hello and welcome to the Right Now Oregon Show. I'm your host, Alex McCadden. You can find all episodes of this program, as well as breaking news updates and more great Oregon podcasts and editorials from Beaver State thought leaders online at www.rightnoworegon.com. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. Please start off by introducing yourself. Tell us what you're running for and which party.
Hi, I'm Patrick Kopke-Hales. I live from Grant County, Oregon, and out here in a little town called Mount Vernon. I am running for governor on the Republican ticket, and I'm hoping to be able to make changes here in Oregon that reflect Oregon as well as make positive changes that we all can see that we need. So that's about me in a nutshell. I am a military veteran. I have background in logistics as well as IT, construction, and mental health. So I have kind of a wide variety of a background from being on this Marvel for going on 57 years here in just a couple more days. So I'm really looking forward to doing this. It's been quite the journey. So I'm excited.
Can you tell us more about your military career?
I was in the United States Air Force for 8 years. Uh, I was went through basic training at Lackland and Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. Then I went to McChord Air Force Base in Washington. Now it's Joint Base Lewis McChord. Then I went to the Philippines in 1991, and then I was medically discharged out of the military at Travis Air Force Base in California. I was an aircraft mechanic my entire time. I got to do the one job that I've always wanted to do, so I was really happy about that. So, and I've got to see some pretty neat things. I've traveled across the country during TDY. I've got to fly to a couple other countries and like going to Majuro, then Guam, then over to the Philippines. So I've gotten to do some traveling. So it was exciting as a young 21-year-old flying around the world.
Can you tell us more about your biography outside of the military? What led you to this point?
Last year, I had a complete transformation of my life and gave my life to God in the middle of a pasture, and which just kind of opened up my eyes, my heart to be able to see things that I didn't see before. And that kind of led me down the path. And in March, I just kind of felt this calling going, well, do this. So I said, okay. So I started digging into it, digging into it, digging into it. And I was like, we've got to do something different. I mean, I saw that how we had no accountability, no responsibility for our state budget, and that we're just spending blindly on so many different things. And I was like, I, I can do better than this. So I decided, not really decided, it just felt like a calling. I needed to do this. So I filed and for to become governor and stuff like that. I was like, okay, this is real. So here I am.
Now, can you tell me more about your community of Mount Vernon?
Well, it's a little town of about 500 people out here, about 8 miles west of John Day. We're tucked into the John Day Basin here, which is absolutely one of the most beautiful parts of the state. Our mountains run east-west. It's the only place in the country that they do, where everyone else is run north-south. And we have like alpine mountains over in the east part of the county called the Strawberry Mountain Range, which is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, especially when we start getting snow up there, and you can hike up there in the summer months, and you can still get snow. It can still drop down to freezing at the high altitude of 9,034 feet at the top of Mount Strawberry. So it's a really interesting place geographically. There's a lot of history here, from the Camois Museum and how the Chinese were here to help with during the gold rush of Grant County. And there's still people that go out panning in the rivers around here, which is really neat and interesting. Um, but Grant County has just kind of become home to me, and I've really enjoyed it out here. There's a lot to do if you like hiking, biking, camping, recreation, hunting, fishing, all kinds of fun stuff up here. We have several lakes within, like a 45-minute drive that you can get to. There's some that are a little bit further away, but it's really beautiful here in Grant County. And, but right here in Mount Vernon, I get to go out, look out my living room window and I see Canyon Mountain. I walk out my front door, I see the Aldriches. So it's it's really just kind of a beautiful place over here. And where you're at also is, I really enjoyed being over there and seeing everything over there in Elgin and Wallowa County. It's really beautiful over there. And to go out to Wallowa Lake, go up to the tram, up to the little cafe at the top at 8,000 feet. That was really enjoyable. I enjoyed it up there.
Next up, as you go out on the campaign trail, what issues are you hearing from Oregonians that are the most important they want the next governor to tackle?
Jobs, businesses leaving, taxes. Um, those are some of the top three, but also education. Um, those are the top four things I've seen. Taxes are a number one reason why businesses are leaving. Well, when you have businesses leaving, then you have jobs leaving. So people are really concerned about that, and they go, "Well, how are we going to afford stuff when our own governor keeps increasing taxes?" I saw that corporate taxes have increased 33% over the last few years. Our education dropped to 47th in the nation. We're the fifth worst place in the United States to get a job. We're having an exodus of people of higher paying jobs leave with lower um, incomes moving in. So it's kind of creating a disparity of finances here. And Oregon is, one of the most beautiful states, but it's also one of the most mismanaged states in the country because we have more out migration than we do in migration. So that is an issue that is creating a lot of problems. Oregon is suffering financially. It is on the very, very brink of collapsing financially. So we've got to get jobs coming back to the state of Oregon. The jobs are what will drive Oregon. I want to open up the timber industry again. I want to be able to, you know, start those revenue streams of what we used to do of exporting almost 2 billion board feet a year. We currently only do about 200,000 board feet a year. That shows you how much of a difference there was between 1980 and now. We used to supply 80,000 jobs in the timber industry. We now only supply 22,000. In the last, since Tina Kotek took office, we've lost 55 to 60,000 jobs and another 2,000 that have left in the last 4 months, with Intel losing 669 jobs, Wells Fargo losing 444. And that really translates into a lot of jobs lost, especially recently. So that is a major issue. Is we need businesses to stay in Oregon. We've had Tektronix that have left. We've had Dutch Brothers that's left. We've had, some other companies that have left Oregon, and that hurts. When you start losing jobs, it makes things harder, and less people pay more in taxes. That's the reason why we're seeing such an increase. We actually have more people leaving than coming in, so that disparity creates that a tax problem, where we have more taxes and less people paying them. So that's the major issue right there with, between jobs and taxes. Those two things are what actually hurts Oregon.
Next up, can you tell us who is your favorite Oregon historical figure?
Uh, I would say, well, John Day. I mean, the guy is was an interesting character. I got to read a study done in the 80s and found that he was quite the character. That's the reason why we have the name of the John Day River, Dayville, John Day, and some other things that are named after him here in the state. But he was kind of a wild one, and there were like four different reports of his death. The last one being the most accurate one, they think, but no one knows exactly sure what happened to him. It's speculated that he just walked out in the middle of the forest and naked, and that's how he went. So he was definitely an interesting character here in Grant County. Grant County is its own, interesting place, along with like Granite, Oregon, and Galena and stuff like that. There's some really interesting little places here in Grant County that, you know, um, like the historic dredges and stuff like that that have been moved out to Sumter now. Um, the railroad stuff that used to take place to help move basically lumber from, around the county into the mills and stuff like that. Then you have the historical um, gold mining here in, like John Day through the dredges that used to work the John Day River. So Grant County and John Day is probably the two most iconic things that I could say is that I found really interesting out here.
What would you say are the primary sources of your personal values?
My primary source is God. Absolutely. God is my, you know, God is my everything. Um, that's where I place all my value, is in Him. God pulled me out of some stuff that I had been dealing with my entire life. He, it's kind of hard to talk about, but you know, to have trauma on top of PTSD, on top of everything else I've had to deal with in my life, God is what I value. Um, and that's where I get my values from, is from God Himself and what He puts on my heart. So that's where I get my values from. You know, being a Christian is really important to me, and I absolutely love that, what God has done in my life and continues to do. So that's where my values come from. Um, a lot of my other values I have learned along the way as, growing up and here in Oregon, Indiana, California, Washington, Texas. I've learned a lot of what to value, what is important in my life, and that's kind of how I got here today.
It's time for my world famous lightning round. First up, ducks or beavers?
Ducks.
All right.
I
What's your favorite Oregon landmark on the west side?
uh the Oregon coast. That whole coast is just one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And I've been to the East Coast. I've been up and down the East Coast. But I've been almost the entire length of the West Coast. I've been all the way up around the Olympic Peninsula, all the way down to Astoria, all the way down to Monterey, California, and a small section between Monterey and basically like Santa Barbara. That section I have not actually been in on the 101. So that is one of the most beautiful drives I've ever been on. And I've not actually got to drive on the Pacific Coast Highway, but down there in California, but I have been on most of US 101 along the Oregon coast. I have family over there. I've lived there on the coast. So it the Oregon coast is the best. It really is. I really love it over there.
All right. What's your favorite east side Oregon landmark?
Uh, the Strawberry Mountains. I love looking at them every day and going out to Prairie City. And we're trying to find a place out in Prairie City actually, and hopefully so where we can actually look up at the Strawberry Mountains every day. I cannot get tired of that view. It gets me every time.
Nice. All right. What is your favorite Oregon produced beverage?
I really don't have one. You know, uh, if I was to say, it's probably Deschutes Brewery. Oh, what is it called? It's been a while. I don't get over to Bend very often, so um, it's what the Deschutes Porter. I think it's a dark beer. That's
All right.
probably that's probably one of my favorites that I like to have on once an occasion. So I do enjoy that one.
All righty. Now, what is your favorite Oregon produced food?
Oh, blueberries, Oregon
Blueberries.
blueberries. Yeah, I like that. It's my favorite fruit. It's not something. It's not really that common for people, but also, it's not just blueberries, but it's also the Oregon huckleberries that we have out here too that are, really good. So I enjoy those because they're not they're rarely tart and they're typically sweet and mild on flavor. So it makes a really good combination for. I've had blueberry wine, I've had blueberry pancakes, I have blueberry. In fact, I have a blueberry pie sitting in the kitchen right now. Um, so blueberry muffins, anything with blueberries in it, I'm probably going to want it.
Now, how can people connect with you and learn more about your campaign?
I am on Facebook at Running for Oregon, and you can look for Patrick for Governor at the top of the banner. And I also have a website. It is www.patrickfororegongovernor.com, and I have all my information there. Um, I'm really good about connecting with people and engaging people when they come to my Facebook page. And, when people ask me questions, they message, I'm constantly being asked questions, answering questions. And people are asking me, what are the solutions? Because people are getting tired of hearing what the problems are. We kind of have that fatigue of knowing what the problems are. So instead of just talking about the problems, I give the solutions that I want to do. Well, I find that a lot more receptive than going, yeah, we have this problem. Yeah, we have, it sounds like, I'm not into the whiny thing. So I just give solutions. And when people are looking for answers, I give them to them and I engage with them where they are. Um, that's sort of how I do things. So I think that is resonating quite well. And I'm enjoying doing that, being able to engage with people, just through social media even. But I also get asked in person. I've been on Rick Dancer's podcast. I've been on Rob Taylor Reports, and now I'm on yours. So I'm excited about this. So that allows me to connect more with people around Oregon. And even when I can't get to certain places because of time restrictions, financial reasons and stuff like that, but it allows me to better connect with people through like town halls and stuff like that, even virtual and in person, to be able to connect with people. And I really do enjoy connecting with people.
Last up, do you have any final thoughts to share with our viewers?
I love Oregon. I grew up here in Oregon. I've spent most of my life here in Oregon. I have Oregon dirt in my veins, and I believe in fighting for something that I truly value. Oregon is a beautiful place. It needs to be protected. It needs to be managed properly. We need to have, good leadership in Salem that, truly takes to heart what is needed here in Oregon. And that is the people. The people are we can have all these resources here in Oregon, but if we don't start taking care of the people here in Oregon, like those who need jobs and housing and everything else, we are not doing the job that we're supposed to do. The job of the government from federal to down to local and is the general welfare of the people. And if the general welfare of the people is not being taken care of, like um, such as some of our social services that have, been struggling and stuff like that, then, we're not doing our job as well as we should be. And that is something that I really feel needs to change. That's the reason why I chose to do this, to run for governor and to, bring back some of these things that are valued here in Oregon. And I think that is important that we do. So our number one resource is the people. So that's who we need to take care of. And that's what I plan to do when I'm elected. So here we go.
Thanks again for joining us on this episode of the Right Now Oregon Show. This has been your host, Alex McCadden. You can find all episodes of this program, as well as breaking news updates and more great Oregon podcasts and editorials from Beaver State thought leaders online at rightnoworegon.com. Until next time, Oregon.